first problem that you're going to look at when you find inverse kinematics tool. If I click here, I can't constrain this movement anymore because this is the head of the bone and we've already clicked on it and we've stopped the joint rotation. So we need to make another head of this bone, but we've got nothing to connect it to make this bit here the head of the bone. So one of the best ways of doing that is just get the oval tool. Let me create a new layer. Draw a little circle above my head. I'm going to highlight it all. Convert to a symbol. And because I want this to be invisible so we can't actually see it, but if I made a movie clip alpha it'd be hard to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this to a button. I'm not going to bother naming it, but I'll just go OK. Double click inside the button and turn it into an invisible button by just grabbing the up state to the hit state. So I went inside the button by double clicking on it, moved the keyframe by clicking on it and moving it to the hit state, and you can see all these are blank frames. Actually it's one large blank frame. If I go back to scene 1, you can see it's transparent there. You can't see it at all now, okay? If I close that down, let's go back to our bone structure, and I'll grab the bone tool again, and I'm going to link it from here to this little bone there. And now if I grab this, I can still move the head. And what I'm going to do now is click on the head of this bone. There we go, got it. See it change colour. Constrain it. Let's have a look at what we've got so far. We've got it going that far and that far. That's probably about right, I think. If you want to adjust it a bit more, just click on it again. Mine's come off there. Let me just click back on. Now this is where it gets difficult because those two are so close together. Let me get the arrow tool again and click on it. There we go. And you could just adjust the constrain there. But I think that's pretty fine for me at the moment. Right. We're going to stop the video there, and I want you to link up the other arm in the same way you have here. And also what I want you to do is add an invisible button at the end here and the end here, and link this bone to the invisible button, and give this a constrain as well so the hand doesn't double back on itself. And then we'll continue the tutorial. Okay, so I've now linked mine up. If I click on it, you can see the bone structure there. Got my head, got my arm over here going, got my arm over here going, but I've deliberately made a mistake over here. What I've done is I've put the bone too close to the middle of that arm, and I want to move that back to here to the joint. So the easiest way to do that is to get the free transform tool, and if I get that, the anchor point here can be moved now to there, and if I click off it again and get the bone tool, you can now see that's actually moved the point of where the bone was, so you just move it across. And if you want to shift it into position at all, you could hold down Alt and move it around to exactly the point you want. So if I move it to there and then get this hand, I can move the hand down a bit, and that'll correct it that way. In fact, this hand over here needs to be moved as well to about there. Okay, another issue is these two arms are in front of the body, which in this picture isn't really much of an issue, but if you're using a picture which has real photographs, you might notice it more, or different colours. So what I'm going to do, you can't adjust it on the layers up here, but if I get the arrow tool, right click on it, and go to Arrange and Center Back, that will now appear behind the body, and I'll do the same for this one over here. Arrange Center Back, and center back. Or send backwards goes back one layer, send straight to back takes it right back. Okay, now we're going to connect to the legs, and what I'm going to do is get the bone tool and click it from this point here. Let's make sure I'm collecting the right point here. That's the right one on the body, make sure it's not on the neck, and it turns to the plus symbol. Excellent. Do the same for this one. And the knees. See, it turned to the plus symbol very early there. And the feet. There. If you make any mistakes, you can click on one of the bones and just press the delete button and that will delete it. Right, let's check that out. Now you can see there I've made a mistake. Although it looks very funky, that one is connected, this bone from the upper body is connected to the head rather than the neck area. Let's check the other one out. No, this one's fine. So I'm going to, if I do look a bit disorientated there, I'm going to delete this bone by clicking on it, and you can see it's connected to that neck there. Press delete and rebuild this armature again. So get the bone and let's click on it there to there to there to there. Let's have a look at this. Oh, I missed that last foot there. Oh, it's on, but it's connected to the wrong point there. This bone needs to be bigger. So if I hold down Alt and drag it down, there we go. And what I want you to do again is add constraints to each of these bone heads, here and here, here, and on the feet. Now the feet, you might not want to move at all, so you might just turn those down and click on them like we did with the neck one here. You might click off, let me see if I can collect it again. You might turn the enable off here on the side. So I want to pause the tutorial, I want you to do that, and then we'll continue. Okay, so I've done my legs and the feet. What I've done with these, by the way, is I've added a 45, well, an almost 45 degree rotation on that, 34 and 55, here 50 and 39. But 45 degrees seems to be fine, you know, 45 and 45 minus 45, 45 plus, so you've got a whole 90 degree rotation on those. And I've done the same for the feet, so I've got a little foot there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move these into better positions. So if I hold down Alt and just put that further up in the body, same for that, make the legs a little bit neater, and the feet. And I'm holding down Alt all the time while clicking and moving these. Then I'm going to get the arrow tool, click on my top thigh, right click on my top thigh, arrange and center back. Same here with this one, arrange, center back, and I'm going to do the same for the feet as well. Arrange, center back. Actually, I'm going to undo that, Control Z, I prefer it over the top there. Right, now we're ready to animate this. Now, in many of my classes before, what we've done is we've done classic keyframing. This is in ActionScript 3, where you do have that option, but not when you're using the armature. Instead, I've got the armature layer here, and there's two ways of doing this. I can right click on a frame. Remember, I'm working at 30 frames per second, so the 15th frame is half a second. If I right click in here, I can either insert a pose and then move it to the pose, or the easiest one is to insert a frame and as it's already there, I just move to the pose I want. Let's have a little ballerina twist. So I move it there. Okay, let's have a look at that by publishing it, Control Enter. And there you go, there's some movement. Let me also, I think on that one, I'll tilt my head slightly. And let's insert another pose here. There we go, just chilling. You'll notice that that hand there is actually behind that bit of armature. Let's bring it forward a little bit. It's behind the body, so if I arrange, and I don't want to send it to the front because I want it to be behind that. So I'm going to bring forward one. Let's see if it's done that. I need to bring it forward again. There we go, and now it's in front of my body there. And what I'll do is I'll end it on that just by inserting a frame here. Oh, you can see another bit of the arm there is behind. Let's bring that forward. Now that's right actually, I did want that behind the body, but it's actually affecting with that piece of animation, so I will bring it forward side by right click on it and arrange and bring forward. And now it is there, so that's a little bit of an issue. Perhaps I should have restrained that from coming quite so far forward over here. But actually I don't mind it so far in front now, but you can also see here there's a problem with the armature connecting from there to there. So if I just click off, and I'll need to move this little bit of bone to there using the free transform tool, and let's move it into position. Hold down Alt there, grab the hand, hold down Alt to there. Oh, I can hear my cat wanting some food. I think there's a little bit too much rotation here on this arm at that point. Let's move this bit here using the free transform tool from there to up there. That's better. Okay. And there we have our animation. You could obviously make that a lot neater. There's still some areas where the bones aren't quite properly connected, but if you've got more time, you could do that. Also, just a quick little note there, you can see the PNG image is pixelating a bit around the edges there. This is just a quick tip about handling images. You can see it's got some rough edges there. If I go into my library, find the head, right click on it, go down to properties, and allow smoothing. That will now create a smooth edged head. And there we have it. That's a very brief introduction to the armature. Hope you enjoyed it.